Carl and Damon here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. And they made what into a TV series, episode 6 of Halo Season 2, Onyx. Um, God, this might be one of my favorite episodes to date. I had an absolute blast. And I know, here's the thing, this episode wouldn't be a good episode if you hadn't followed along. It's so important, like in that sense, as a sort of cohesive where we're at now and where we're going. I had so much fun with this. I didn't want it to end. I was angry when it ended, and the way they choose to end this episode as well. But
Yep.
really, really happy as well. After my fears in the last episode review that maybe we were going to slow down, and I kind of envisioned a opening here that kept us on a ship as it was traveling to an Oni base and getting lots more about the Spartan backstory and stuff like that, and that would have been fine. But I was worried we were going to kind of slow down and then speed up at the end of the show, the season, to be
Yep.
Halo related. This one put me right at ease. We need to stop worrying, right? They know. I think they get it. They know. All right, we just got to keep jumping in time here. So we're not going to hang around. We're not going to see the long journey of Master Chief and Halsey and all of that traveling. They're just going to get there. And then we're going to go from there. Like, we need to stop worrying because they've not let us down yet, if we're on it, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I actually texted you beforehand and said that the first 5 minutes or so I was disappointed. I take it back once after seeing the first 5 minutes. My instant thought was, for fuck's sake, Kai. But then later on, I'm like, yes, Kai.
Yes, Kai gets to really do something here. About bloody time. It really is good shit. But of course, we're going to talk it through and stop every so often and mention bits we like and why we liked them or didn't like and so on. And what a bloody start to the episode this is. As we see Corporal Perez on a mission with a Spartan Javelin unit being deployed to assault a Covenant Corvette ship that launched into space as a unit. And immediately I was like, I guessed this straight away because they were so disorganized as they were shooting through space. A couple of them bump into each other. And I was like, this might not be real. Like, this seems a little too quick. Like, and I thought maybe it's a sim. And in a little bit, there was a bigger clue for me. But he ended up infiltrating the ship. A battle ensues, and we see many of the unit members being taken out. But this is where I clocked it was a sim, because we don't see any Covenant. You never notice it's all coming from like the darkness and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, at first I wasn't sure if it was like simulated, and I actually thought like maybe it was just they're just being thrown into battles. Who cares if you're trained? We need battles. But then,
Yeah.
as you said, when there's no Covenant on the ship, yeah.
Yeah. Perez and another Spartan named Mullins, they managed to infiltrate the bridge of the ship. And the plan basically is get to the bridge and deliver something they call a spike, which is literally kind of like a spike, but it's a program effectively that when uploaded to the computer, the main ship's computer, it will disable the ship, which is all sensible. However, Mullins gets blown apart by a needler shot. I do like the fact that they don't show you it, except in the reflection of Perez's visor.
Yeah, you can see.
Yeah. And as Perez goes to deliver the spike, she's shot from behind and sits up in a chair because it was a simulation. And as Perez comes out alongside the others to an unimpressed Kai, very unimpressed. Basically, obviously not happy with their failure. She runs through the strengths of the Covenant, but also look how we can use these strengths against them. Right, they're better at us than this, but they're not good at this, and so on. And Perez, I would say, is a little cheeky. All right, a little cheeky. She talks back a bit, and they get into it. And I got the impression that Kai doesn't really seem to like Perez. Yeah, there might be reasons for that. And Perez accuses Kai of being jealous that she fought in the Battle of Reach while Kai did not. And that is actually something that I actually agree with. I do think that is an issue for Kai because I think they bring it back a little bit further along. That it's not so much jealousy, it's the failure. Shame. The shame, the failure.
She's ashamed because obviously, as we go further along in the episode, obviously she's ashamed of the fact that her team died. She's
She wasn't there.
under the impression that her entire team died, and she failed.
A Spartan fights, and she didn't. Meanwhile, Parangoski and Akasin are discussing tea. Okay, right. If we did not know Parangoski is the villain of all, like top villain of the UNSC, this scene nails it, because basically it is, and similar to what she's done in the past, it's a metaphor. And it's a metaphor for control, basically. And how, if she asks it, if she demands it, people will dance to her tune, basically. And I loved it, because I saw something here that is going to come back further on that I think could be one of the most interesting developments this show makes. I'm not going to reveal what I think just yet till I get to where I wrote it in my notes and was like, this is what I think. But I love that scene. I love that scene. I think they're both great actors. Akasin, Parangoski, wonderful to watch. And I like the fact that I actually thought, shit, she is quite threatening.
I mean, you could tell, but every time she spoke, and you're watching Akasin, you can tell, because he has, I've said it before, but he has a great ability. His facial expressions are fantastic, and he always does it.
I'm going to stop you there, because we are going to come back to him, and I know you know where part I'm particularly thinking of. But the conversation, and this is why the episode, not that I thought the beginning was bad, but this is where the episode turned, and I was like, grabbed my seat, and I was like, oh shit. As the conversation turns to supposed sightings of a ship entering their airspace, alongside sightings of Halsey, and what is described by the person who saw them as the largest human that has ever been seen. And I was like, oh fuck, they're here.
They're here, yeah.
Of course, we know who they're talking about, and so does Akasin, who rightfully shits a brick a little bit. And basically it's like, no, they're just rumors. It can't be. They died for sure. And I was like, you're a little scared, because you kind of know he will come for you. Parangoski is pretty calm about it, though. And she says she's not too sure, but she points out, well, look, if the sightings are real, we'll find out soon enough. And I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
And it turns out, as there is truth to it, because we see Master Chief surveying the base from outside. So they are actually here. Brilliant. After opening credits, Kai is in a battle that resembles the Battle of Reach. It's a simulation, though, as Axon arrives and pauses it, and he kind of wants to know why she keeps, basically, he implies that she keeps doing this simulation battle. Now, she claims it's for training, but he's not so sure, and he kind of wonders, like, are you punishing yourself for not fighting at Reach? Like, is this how you kind of like getting it out of your system kind of thing? But the conversation turns to Chief being gone, and that Kai is to train a whole new legion of Spartans. But Kai, she doesn't think they can be made into Spartans. Her view is that's not what Spartans are. Like, Halsey's, you forget the augmentation and all that. Spartan is a thing inside you. But Akasin seems to believe if you tell someone enough that they're a Spartan and make them believe they are, it'll be enough. I mean, I get his thinking to a degree. Again, one of the things I love about Akasin is because you can see the logic behind his thinking, because in a way, hasn't he kind of done that with Kai? Convinced her something?
But obviously, we both know that obviously Silver Team had years and years and years and years and years of training without they're expecting it in weeks. And ultimately as well, so many people would be failures. You know what I mean? Like it's that. Meanwhile, Halsey does what Halsey does best and uses leverage of knowing where apparently Kessler is kept on the planet Onyx, which they are, to bargain for her life effectively. Outside the ship, Quan is looking around the snow-covered land and sees the priestess from Sanctuary. So those visions she's been having of that woman, that priestess that supposedly died at Sanctuary. And she seems to be kind of leading Quan somewhere. I'm glad we kind of get what this part is at the end. Before heading off to find Kessler, Soren and Chief discuss Onyx and the importance of its history to Oni and the Spartan program. Basically, this is ground zero. This is where it started. So I'm glad we got that, because at least it makes the importance of this and why the Oni High Command might have run back to it. Yeah, definitely.
During this, Quan has, though, run into an advancing squad of Oni soldiers. And again, I was like, look at this episode. Keeping things moving. Here comes some Oni, because, of course, they're going to go investigate this ship that landed here.
Yeah, definitely, of course.
So she has to run, and as gunshots are heard, Soren and Liara head off on their own to go find Kessler. And what I didn't expect, because I thought we might get more of like stealth here,
Hmm.
Chief goes, nah, I'm just going to go fight some soldiers. And I was like, awesome.
And he literally just walks in.
He fucks a lot of them up, but the numbers are too many and he's eventually detained. But I'm a strong believer after watching this episode through and then a second time on the notes that he did it on purpose. He
Of course, he
wanted
did.
to be detained.
Best way to get in the building is to be
That's it. Yeah, because they
yeah.
weren't knocking on the front door wasn't exactly going to get anywhere, was he?
No.
Quan escapes though and continues to follow the mysterious woman and is led to a well in the woods. And with Oni approaching, she basically makes a decision to jump into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she survives the fall, as at the bottom there's some sort of gravity device that when she's about to hit, stops her from stops the impact. And who was waiting there? Who else but Halsey, who reveals to Quan that this is where it all began, and at one time she practically lived down there. So you gather this is basically Halsey's original base of operations, so to speak.
Yeah.
I also realized, because it's a cave system, I was like, this is probably where the first keystone, the original keystone, was first found.
We found. Yeah, definitely.
As they walk through the system, we do get a great scene where Halsey kind of teases Quan a little bit about ruining Master Chief.
Yep.
Because it's a good reminder that, like, she's like, look, he was fine till he met you. And then it all kind of went wrong from there. And I was like,
It's true.
okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. But she does admit, like, you know what? This might be best. This might have been the best situation in the end.
Mm-hmm.
We now see the Arbiter becoming the Arbiter. I had to look this up because obviously my lack of Halo lore knowledge, I wasn't entirely sure what he's doing here, but he's branding himself with the mark of shame. So that's what that is. Following that, he goes to the... Go on, sorry.
I was gonna say, I just thought we were going to get a few naked arbiters things, you know.
I'm glad it was a brief one because... All right, we'll say it. I'll say it. Some of the effects here aren't the best, and him without his armor getting branded, I didn't think looked really very good.
Yeah, it looked really badly CGI. You could tell, yeah.
I mean, he can't do a lot. He's a CGI monster, right? You kind of got to do it, but it didn't look great. So at least with the armor on, I don't know. With the armor on, he just looks a bit better.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so following that, he goes to the bridge where a Covenant priest is asking questions. This guy is such a little dickhead. The way he talks as well, he's such a little dickhead. I love him.
He's so mouthy, man.
I loved him. He's asking a lot of questions about, hey, what are we doing? And, you know, where are we going? And why are you doing this? And what about high command and all of that? And then he's kind of like, oh, also, Mackie, her. Like, is she, I don't like, and basically he does not like her one bit.
I love the fact that the way they're basically slagging her off to the ground, and they know that she can speak the language, and they don't give a shit. They really don't give a crap. She's like basically she's like a lower level to them, way below them.
That's exactly it. Humans are a lower level to these, particularly to the priests of the Covenant, to those ones in the religious aspect of it. So yeah, he sees her nothing more than a worm.
Yeah, but
he kind of like, in so many words, accepts what the Arbiter's saying in so many words.
Yeah.
McKee promises the Arbiter she is communicating with the Keystone, which obviously we know is not true. And Cortana does appear afterwards and sort of does a Cortana thing where she's like, are you sure are you sure he believes it? Wink, wink. Simulation time again with Perez. And this time, the team are successful. But mainly because Perez takes over and basically gets the team to stop treating it like a game and instead kind of fight based on the reality, adapt to what's happening around you. Don't just follow the training program you have been led to do. If your training says you're supposed to run left and flank them in a certain way, but the bullets are coming from a different direction.
Yeah.
Like, don't, yeah.
I thought differently with this time. I thought that it was made easier, especially with what Atkinson said. I thought he made sure they passed this one here.
Right, he does, but from what he says, I think it's only about the end.
The ending part, yeah.
Yeah, because having won, the rest of the team celebrate outside the simulation. But Perez isn't comfortable. And she asks Kai about the lack of reality surrounding the end of the simulation. So to put it simply, think of finishing a level sometimes in a game and like you cross the finish line or whatever, and then it goes to black almost. That's what the simulation almost does. They delivered a spike and that's it. They're able just to leave the Covenant ship. And it's like, what happened to the Covenant that was shooting you a minute ago? That is a problem. But Kai kind of, well, she's very cold to Perez and advises her to take the win. You know, keeping that coldness there. Right. Back with Chief. Do you remember that mouthy commander from the Visegrad relay? She's back and giving Chief some shit. Who is, to be fair, at least they're smart enough to treat him almost like a wild animal. They have these steel cables like holding his arms down, some around his body. It's like they're dealing with someone who could go mental at any moment.
Yep.
But she's far too confident and she leaves. And I'm waiting for, you're waiting for something. And I actually thought he was going to be caught there for a while and maybe he'd be rescued and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But nope. One of them because he's waiting for one to kind of not pay attention, and one of them who's tying the cable down he's doing it like that, looking at Chief, and then he looks down, and that is enough. And Chief whips it up, and yeah. I mean, I almost want to feel sorry for these guys because ultimately they're just following orders. They don't really know what's going on. They've been told they have to detain Master Chief. They probably don't really want to, but you know.
To be fair, he warns the last guy, don't do it. Do not do it. He didn't listen. So
don't go for that gun. Exactly that. Yeah, I love it though. I love seeing fools get thrown around.
Yeah.
And I love that we immediately cut to a camera to see that this was seen by Akasin and recorded, who shows Kai. And basically, he uses this to kind of browbeat her into admitting that about John's vision of Makee on Sanctuary. And this is enough for Akasin to turn this angle into John now working with Makee, and that's how he survived the fall of Reach. He also tells her that Visegrad was a cover operation for the Covenant, who stole one of the keystones from the base, and the other one is here, and that's why John has come. And I was like, God damn, that is convincingly good.
Yeah, damn well, because I mean, my first thought was like, come on, Kai, stop being so fucking stupid. But then I thought, actually, hang on, all the evidence points that John has joined the Covenant. It all points that he's a traitor.
Yeah, even if he hasn't joined the Covenant, he's with Makee.
Makee, yeah.
Or he's lost his mind. I'm telling you now, I would do exactly what Kai is doing.
Yeah.
I'd never buy into that just trust him kind of thing to a certain degree. Not when the evidence stacks up like it does.
Mm-hmm.
On the opposite ship, Makee reveals to Cortana that she can't connect to this keystone anymore and that she thinks it's related to John. Cortana offers to try and create a roadmap to Halo, but to do that, she would need access to the ship system. And as soon as she said it, I was like, come on, Cortana. And Makee obviously is like, are you serious? She's basically, are you serious, bro? You serious? In the caves, Halsey starts to get confused about some changes she doesn't recognize. Things in the caves have changed, and that confuses her. We'll see where that goes in a moment, because meanwhile, John is making his way through the Oni base and gets confronted by Kai in a room. And I was again stunned that they did it so early. I thought they'd drag this out a little bit.
It was instantly, man. It was like instantly, yeah.
Yeah. And basically, I'm going to try and sum it up because it's a lengthy scene, a violent scene of Kai kicking the shit out of John while he kind of tries to talk to her, but not like it's not so much trying to get through to her. He's just trying to remind her of certain things because the death of Vanek comes up, the loss of Riz. What both of them are doing at this moment, he tries to convince her that Oni are manipulating her, but she does beat him down. But I just love that he's getting back up. Do you know what I mean? He's kind of getting back up. And she's like, can you please just stop, stay down so I haven't got to do this?
So this scene here for me, it won my support back to Kai. Because the fact that everything she said, she's right. That at the end of the day, she's a soldier. She's following orders. Her orders are to stop Master Chief, and she's right. I agree. I mean, she starts off by saying basically, look, I got the impression that she believes him, but she's following orders.
She has not experienced what John has. Like he seems to expect her just to blindly follow him. And to me, that's hypocritical because he's criticizing her for blindly following Oni. It's basically Kai's in a really difficult place. The love and respect she'll feel for John, but also the love and respect she feels for the chain of command. She's in the middle being torn from two sides. It's not fair. He's not, and he doesn't, that's the thing. He doesn't try to guilt her. He's just trying to explain.
Explain, yeah. And I read so many comments online about this scene. Okay, yeah. And I just want to say, like, one of the things I want to quickly go into it is that a lot of people are saying, well, he's fucking master chief. He'll kick her ass. She's wearing her fucking armor. I don't
They
care.
have.
I don't care how good he is. She's got her armor on.
I will go further than that. So I 100% agree. This show has made a point to say the difference between a Spartan in and out of armor is quite something. A Spartan out of armor can handle a certain level of Covenant, can handle certain levels of humans. But a Spartan, a trained Spartan that's on Silver Team in their armor is always going to be a problem. But I would say to people, John doesn't fight. He was never going to fight Kai. Because if he starts fighting her, it defies the point of what he's trying to do.
Yeah, and he's still carrying an injury in his stomach.
Yeah, so. he's that as well. He's a weak, and in fact, actually, for people are actually criticizing that. There's an earlier scene where Soren tells John not to get involved with the Oni soldiers because he's still harboring the injuries.
Exactly.
There's a lot there. But I think if you say that, you're just being lazy. But Kai does end up knocking John unconscious, but she leaves after that. And even though she ain't got a mask, I was like, you are disgusted by your own behavior. Yeah. Like, you are not happy. You are in a really bad position. And I love that I get that vibe when you can't see her face.
Yeah, you can tell by like the way her body was moving, her body language, and she kept looking at the cameras. So I instantly thought she's going straight to Ackerson to find out what the hell was going on.
Well, we then get what I think is, for me personally, a bit of a change, a scene that changes my feelings or thoughts on a character. As this is all viewed by Ackerson and Parangosky. And the latter, Parangosky, the way she talks, she cares nothing for John. In fact, she says, look, this guy is a mess. He's too much trouble. Like, this is not the Master Chief we need, and so on. But she notices it seems to bother Ackerson. It seems to bother him. And she makes a quip about, well, you don't believe in God, basically. Who cares about John's soul? Like, it should be the same thing. And I was like, holy shit, I think we've got him wrong. And we were never really 100% sure on this. Yeah. I don't think he's a villain in the conventional. I don't think he's not a villain. What he is a pragmatic person that has to make difficult decisions. And some of them are bad decisions and so on. We knew what happened and Reach bothered him. I think he was generally bothered by not just what was happening to John, but by the fact that, because he will then later go and apologize to Kai by sending Kai to do it. Like, I think he actually does see the Spartans, the rest of Silver Team who's left, as human beings, where Parangosky doesn't.
Well, again, I was saying it earlier. This guy's ability to show his emotions in his face, he's an amazing actor to do that. And I really hope we're going to get a lot more of him. And yeah, I personally do think that he could be one of the ones who overthrow it, one of the futures of the leaders.
Yeah. So, without going too much into the game part of things, obviously, with Jacob Keyes being dead, a major part of Halo lore has to change. I suspect when they get to that part, they might insert someone different into it. Someone else. I wondered if Ackerson could end up filling that role. Because obviously what happens is a heroic thing and a positive thing and so on. But I reckon Ackerson, like, because you think Chief's just going to find Ackerson and kill him. I don't think that's how that's going to play out.
No.
But I love it, and you're absolutely right. Although a lot of the acting, in fact, most of the acting in season 2 has been top-notch stuff. He's brilliant. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, Parangosky, though, is now called a command center as an unrecognized transmission is coming in. And this was a surprising reveal for me. But also at the same time, John is coming around and he is getting his own transmission in his head. it's Cortana.
Yep.
And it's revealed that Cortana being taken was part of a plan, an Oni/UNSC plan. Get taken by the Covenant. You can start feeding us intel. And I was kind of, when you're like, oh, of course. Of course, right?
Yeah.
It seems so
Yeah.
obvious. I'm almost embarrassed that I didn't put two and two together.
It does, because they knew they knew Reach was going to get attacked. They left the entire room unguarded. They would have surely that would have been the first thing loaded in their bloody escape planes. It's so obvious.
You put her near the keystone as well, like
Exactly.
yeah, it is that.
Just put an arrow pointing to with the name Katana
Yeah,
with an arrow in
flashing
it.
up.
It's clear.
Katana reveals, though, apparently this is her mission parameters being fulfilled. And as soon as she said that, I was like, oh. Because obviously that reveals that was the deal that Parangoski struck with Chief. With Cortana when she left Chief. But it also reveals that, does that break a programming part of Katana? If a mission parameters have been completed,
Yep.
is she free, so to speak?
Yeah, that's why I got two. So basically, but I got them for her saying that. So I've completed my mission now. She can now basically go help who she wants now.
I got that as well.
Yep.
Cortana does warn Parangoski, though. It says, look, even with your intel, I could run sims. If you guys think you're going to just attack the Covenant High Command, you're probably not going to win. So I do like the fact it's still there. Look, you ain't there yet. But Parangoski ends up dismissing Cortana to continue spying on the Covenant. And this line, until she cannot anymore. And I was like, oh, you know what that means?
Yeah.
And that's it. Cortana returns to the Arbiter's ship. But at the same time, as I said, she's talking to John, encourages John to get to his feet and keep fighting, telling them, look, the Covenant and McKee are closer to Halo than you could ever believe, basically. And that you need to get up because you need to reach there first. She promises to help him and that he needs to find a keystone and touch it. Meanwhile, Halsey and Quan find out who's been doing the new excavation of the caves. And in the finally returning to the show, it is Halsey's daughter, Miranda Keys. And it's a brief scene, basically, as Halsey isn't happy to sort of see her research being used. But Miranda claims, well, we've been using it, and thanks to that, we've been able to spot the mistake you made in your research. And we kind of focus on what looks like a portal or something, or a ring.
Yeah.
But that's it for them. Because now let's just check in with what Soren and Liara are doing, entering a chamber of a facility that looks pretty fucking empty, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Liara wants to know where they are, and Soren calls it Thermopylae. Now, little history lesson for you all if you do not know. For those of you who don't know, that is where the Spartans versus Xerxes battle occurred. If you've seen the movie 300, you'll know it from that. Soren spots something in the ground that could be blood. Looks like dried blood, maybe. But some lights kind of turn on in the distance, and like they realize that people are coming. And Soren leads Liara away without any kind of resolution of whether Kessler is there or what would happen next.
Yeah.
Right. Last bit. Kai is running through the simulation that the Spartan Javelin team ran through. And she gets to the end of it. Ackerson arrives and apologizes for sending Kai to deal with John. He's like, I'm really sorry I shouldn't have done that. I saw, and, I'm sorry. Yeah. But Kai has kind of had enough and isn't interested and reveals that the team won the team won the simulation. And Ackerson's like, yeah, look, I told you they'd do it. Boom, we're getting there. However, she has questions, starting with the end of the simulation. Basically, why is it so fucking easy for them to leave a Covenant ship? She says that thing, I love that line. The only thing harder than getting on a Covenant ship is getting off one.
Damn right, yeah.
Now, this is why, because you could argue, well, I think, right, if you're not paying attention, you can make the argument that Kai jumps to a conclusion that is unfair, or she could have jumped to earlier on, except for one thing. It's about what he did, because it's revealed that Ackerson effectively changed the ending so they could get a win. The sim is meant to push soldiers and ultimately give them hope. So I changed the ending so that they would definitely get away, and it'll make them feel like, look at us Spartans, we did it, we did this and we did that, and so on, that kind of thing, and so on. And that, linked with what John is saying about the leaving behind and all of this, to me, it's enough basically to confirm her fears.
Yeah, I mean, I, I thought that too, but then I also agree. I also felt that sometimes it's good for the troops to get a win because it builds their
Nope,
confidence.
not
But
when it's not real.
yeah, but obviously it builds confidence. But also, yeah, I do understand completely what Kai's saying. So
They walk away thinking they're badass Spartans when the game was made easier for them.
mhm.
Do you see what I mean?
Of course,
It's
yeah.
not. Whereas had they gone through 20, 30, 40, 50 times that simulation, failing each time, maybe getting a bit closer. Think of it think of it from a video game perspective. Anytime you've struggled with something and you've done it over and over again, and often when you're doing something over again, you also reach that point where you suddenly become worse at it than you were previously, but then eventually you
Yep.
do get through. That.
Yeah, of course, yeah, of course.
So she confronts some of the information about Reach the Chief told her. And Ackerson, admits that Oni knew the follow Reach was coming and took the action they took to save the assets they did. I do like that about Ackerson, is that if pushed, when pushed, he will just go, fuck it.
The thing is, though, his emotions and facial expressions gave it away, which is what I like. It showed to me that he does actually care.
I am convinced.
He's on their side. He's on their side, but he's also following orders.
I am convinced that he feels immense guilt for Reach.
Damn right.
Convinced of it. Disgusted, Kai goes off. And I had to add this part because we don't really know, but I thought presumably to go save John, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But Ackerson reveals he's deployed the Black Op units of Oni to deal with him. And finally, John is making his way through the facility with Cortana helping in what I thought was I was having so much fun in this episode to watch John,
Brilliant.
let's be honest, slowly make his way through the facility, watching Cortana open doors for him. The bit where those scientists all get locked in and he just sort of strolls past. And bear in mind, this is John absolutely bloodied. Like he's got blood pouring down the side of his face and all that. And then that one person tries to shoot with the door, and he gives that sarcastic wave.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It is. It's a funny scene in a very, very packed story-based episode. But yeah, it definitely it broke up the mood.
Yeah, it gave us a little bit of humor, but it also reiterated what the show hasn't done very well up to this point. But I think they're going to get there eventually. Is when Master Chief and Cortana are reunited. Now, this is only temporary, but John seems happy to have her back. She seems happy to be back with him. And together, like, yeah. But in what was a surprising turn of events, because I figured we're getting to the end. John reaches the keystone. All fucking hell breaks loose on the Arbiter's ship. I did not expect this. I thought, I'm going to tell you what I thought. I thought we did the usual thing. So basically, the Arbiter's crew are about to mutiny, led by that Covenant priest, who basically reveals that Cortana was the source of the transmission from the ship to the UNSC. And the priest is basically, Arbiter, you're going to have to kill her, that enough of this nonsense and so on. And I thought, what we're going to see is the Arbiter's going to light up his weapon. But then I thought behind McKee, the keystone would light up. And that would be enough to convince them all, oh, McKee was right. No!
Nope.
No! As the Arbiter ends up swinging his weapon and killing the priest. And it just turns into a fucking battle between the Covenant forces.
But it's one of those scenes where he like swings his weapon and then he cuts like 4 heads at once. It's just like brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, and I love the way they film it as well, because basically we film at McKee's level. She's on the floor trying to crawl.
Yeah, camera in front of her face.
Yeah, as these fucking, like, you can see like them flying over her, and like one weapon swings past her head and stuff like that. It is awesome. But as she's crawling, she does notice the keystone lighting up. And obviously she's like, oh my God, it's lighting up. So she drags herself to it, reaches out to touch it. At the same time, on his end, John is reaching out to touch it as well. And just as John goes to put his hands on it, black. Boom.
Bastards.
Bastards,
Absolutely bastards.
But hell, I'm never going to complain when it's an episode that I felt this invested in. That I said, when that hit, I was like, no, another week. But
I mean, what is it? What was it, like 2 episodes left? So there's no way we're going to get the conclusion. I can't see how, unless these are like 2 hours long. I don't see how they're going to get all that information included in the last 2 episodes.
Hmm.
So it's a
So,
lot.
I mean, we like to do this, so and it's not too different to what I've kind of said previously. I do believe that arriving in space and seeing the Halo ring, or arriving at the Halo ring, is the end of season 2. I do think that's it. I think next episode is setting up the race to the ring, and I think we're going to see several different groups. We're going to have John and Kai off together. I think that's a major one. I think Halsey and probably Oni, Akasin, Miranda potentially from their end as well, and of course the Covenant on their end as well. I think everybody's going to the same place, and it's a race to get there. How that feels in episode, of course I don't know. I can't really picture that. I could be completely wrong. I've been wrong about so many things. I mean, ain't it great though? Ain't it great to be wrong when you come away so pleased with the episode? Nothing ever wrong with being wrong, folks.
Yeah, because I mean, considering that we had. Well, I was going to say we had a downer with the last episode. It wasn't really a downer. It was like we had a very, very minute of a blip or whatever in the last episode, but not even that. And then we've gone from that to this, and yeah, it's a very well done show.
The ride continues. It's still a lot of fun. If it ends as strongly as it does, I might really rate Halo as one of my up there as favorite adaptions. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult with TV show adaptions because we've not had loads and there's a wide variety, but I still think Castlevania is the bar setter.
Yeah.
It is the bar setter. Halo ain't even close to that yet. But if we continue down this path and we are getting another 2 strong episodes and set up a season 3, then I will definitely be like, it's definitely rising up the ranks.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot. We've had obviously Castlevania, then we had obviously season 1 of The Last of Us, which was pretty decent.
Of course, I shouldn't forget that. Yep.
Yeah, and obviously now Halo.
Pretty decent. It was excellent.
Do you know what? It was like 4 years ago, so I've forgotten what it was like. So
it feels like it, doesn't it? It does feel like, I swear. Well, I don't want to get off topic here because we do this sometimes, but I swear to God, if I see one more social media post where it's like, so-and-so has been cast for this role, make the damn thing, you bloody loons, Don't worry, we got Fallout to come soon as well. But for now, this was episode 6, Onyx of Halo. Did you love it as much as we did? You know what to do? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.